I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. You're exposing your son like this?
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up. Yeah.
I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this.
If someone tried to recruit a LeBron to run for president, would you run?
It turns out what he seemed to say is,
I'm gonna say it one time, bro. Keep my son out of this, bro. I'm gonna say it one time, bro. Keep my son out of this, bro.
excuse me, LeBron?
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, we got to talk about this story about LeBron James. But before I get into it, I want to give you a little preface. I used to be athletic, y'all, and I know I'm in the 50 club now. These days are long gone. But back when I was young, I was on a high school football team. High school football team in the hood, in the ghetto. But if you know, like I know, when it comes to athletics and sports, the best talent comes out the hood. The fastest runners, the strongest lifters, the cats with the most endurance. And that's the team we put together in the hood at my high school. Strong enough to reach the North Coast Section Championship in the Bay Area and beat the #1 team. We were champions. But on that team, we thought everybody was going to the league. We thought everybody was fast, everybody was strong, everybody was talented. Y'all, you know how many people made it to the NFL off of that football team? One person by the name of Reagan Upshaw. We thought that everybody was able to make it. Everybody was good enough. Turns out, y'all, that it takes more than speed, takes more than strength, takes more than endurance. And we found that out, many of us, the hard way. But it reminded me of this story with LeBron James, who is acting as if he is a helicopter father over his son, who he may have thought had the talent in the backyard, playing on the basketball hoop in the driveway. But as it turns out, he went through high school, matriculated to USC, had mediocre numbers. And LeBron used his own personal influence to say, hey, I'm going to get my son drafted. Nepotism. I'm going to get him in the league anyway. I'm going to pull some strings. I'm going to do whatever I got to do because of my own selfish reasons. And I want him to play in the league. I want to play with him. I want to be the first father-son duo on the court in this league. Okay. But you didn't do that for your son. You did that for yourself. And I think it's important to note because in this current controversial situation, you got Stephen A. Smith, who is a commentator for ESPN, has his own podcast now that is doing well on YouTube and other platforms. Well, we advocate for honest journalism in this age of modern media on this very platform. We want people to get out there and tell the truth. And Stephen A has been telling the truth. The truth is LeBron James Jr., Bronny James, sucks. And Stephen A. Smith ain't the first one to say it. Other players that are veterans of the league, who are retired players who have their own podcasts, have come out and said it. He ain't big enough. He ain't strong enough. He ain't tall enough. He ain't determined enough. He ain't accurate enough with his shot to be in the league. Matter of fact, on his USC team, there were people with better numbers than him that didn't get drafted at all. So how is it that Bronny James can get a first-class ticket to the league with a long-term contract and millions of dollars that rookies don't normally get? How is it that Bronny James can get that? Did he earn it? No. Is he worth it? No. But in LeBron James's mind, he's saying, that's my son. And I want what I want for myself and my son, for my record and my reputation. I want this to be a part of my legacy. Okay, cool. Let's call it that. Let's leave it that. But understand something. And this is where the rub comes into this whole narrative, y'all. You can put people in situations that they are not prepared for. You can put people in situations that they don't belong in. And when you do that, it makes you liable. It makes your legacy and your reputation liable for the position that you place them in. And when they don't perform, Well, it falls back on you. And LeBron James seems to be taking it personal with one Stephen A. Smith for speaking badly upon his son. Well, the truth is bad. So don't get mad at folks for speaking the truth. We all know it. We all see it. We all understand it. But here's the problem with this whole situation. If you put your son in a man's league, and that's the only reason I mentioned my high school, because the sifting process is such that the fastest of the fast sometimes don't make it. The strongest of the strong sometimes don't make it. So when you look at these leagues, you're dealing with the best of the best that have been under the strongest of microscopes. And they have made it through that sifting process to get to the most highest paid, highest respected leagues in the world. And if you walk your son through there holding his hand like a little baby, like a helicopter dad hovering over your son, when he get to that league, and I said this at the beginning before Bronny was even drafted, there was a whole bunch of talk about what Bronny was going to do, who Bronny was going to be. I said, you know what, this is problematic because you are taking a little boy who is unprepared and putting him in a man's league. Look at LeBron, 6'9". Allegedly been taking little HGH, little something or other to help him out in his latter years. It's not uncommon in the league. We've seen other stories of folks doing similar things. But if you put your boy in there amongst the men and he ain't ready to be a man, then you gonna have to hold his hand in the league. What happens if your boy is in the paint and get a hard foul? What happens if your boy run into some strong center who throw a bow and send him flying across the court? Are you gonna hop off in there and try to swing on somebody? Well, you shouldn't have put this little boy who is unprepared in a man's league, because man things happen on that court. Well, here we have the story, y'all, where LeBron James has confronted Stephen A. Smith on the sideline of a Lakers game. Stephen A. Smith came out and explained the situation. He said, nah, bro, it wasn't at the beginning of the game. It wasn't at the end of the game. It's in the middle of a game, bro. Walked up to me and wanted smoke. He knew the cameras would be watching. He knows they watch his every move. He wanted to make a spectacle. He wanted it to go viral. He wanted it to be seen. But in this moment, unfortunately for LeBron, because when you pull out Malcolm X books and you on the first page and you try to riff and say, oh, well, I read it. And when your intellect is that low, bro, when your IQ is that low and all you can do is dunk a basketball and shoot 3-pointers, it don't come across well in the intellectual sphere. So what you have is a helicopter dad who is trying to protect his son, who has placed his son in a precarious position where people like Stephen A. Smith are just doing honest journalism. And that's what we advocate for. We want our journalists to be honest. We want our journalists to tell us the real, keep it real with us. Well, the real is something that LeBron James obviously can't live with. Don't sit well with him. And he say, hey, I'm 6'9", 270, whatever. I'm towering over you and I will smash you, little man Stephen A. Smith, because your microphone is too loud. Your pen is too strong. And your pen game seems to be outdoing what is happening here on the court, and you are damaging my son. Well, you put your son in harm's way, sir. Why would you do a thing like that where you had to come out and defend him? Because let's be honest, y'all, what's really happening here is LeBron is confirming what we all thought. If you got to come out here and be the helicopter dad and defend your son amongst the men, you are just confirming that your son wasn't ready to play amongst the men.
I'm really, really trying to be as respectful as I possibly can be towards LeBron James. One of the top 2 or 3 players in the history of basketball, number 2 in my eyes. A treasure to the game of basketball that we should and will all miss when he is gone. I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this. We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. The first game of the season, opening night, the Griffeys in attendance, father-son duo playing in an NBA game for first time, an absolutely positively wonderful story. And then reality sets in. We love what we're seeing from him in the G League because that's where you belong. As you hone your skills and you get better and you legitimately earn, which I believe he has the potential to do. I am rooting for Bronny James. It would be cruel to root against him. He's a wonderful kid. I wish him nothing but the best. But he's LeBron James' son. And everybody knows what attention that brings. Molly, Doggy, put them up on the screen because I want to see their face when I say this. Right now, Bronny James is averaging 0.3 points, 0.3 assists, and 0.4 rebounds. You know what people are saying. You know what they're going to do to this kid. In 13 games, he has played 44 minutes. He has scored 4 points. He is shooting 1 of 16 from the field, 0 for 7 from three-point range. How are you doing him favors? We know that he's not ready yet. And I'm saying this with compassion. I'm asking the greatest player in the game, one of the top 2 players in the history of basketball, an ambassador for this game, the face of the league, a 4-time champion, a guy that's gone to 10 NBA finals, one of the greatest we have ever or will ever see, who is a basketball savant. You know, better than me, better than Doggy, better than JJ Redick, better than Rob Pelinka, better than any basketball analysis or analyst that exists. You know what these numbers mean. You know what it's going to do to your son, to people who are missing out on opportunities, that are busting their tail on other NBA teams in the G League in Europe and everywhere else, what kind of opportunity they're starving for. You're exposing your son like this?
I understand LeBron wanting to be protective, but I don't understand LeBron not facing reality, bro. Your son ain't 6'9". So if LeBron wants to be protective, I understand that as a father myself, as a grandfather, I get it, I understand. But you got to face reality and understand that your son ain't 6'9". Your son's jumper ain't that accurate. Your son ain't that fast. He ain't that slick. His handles ain't that good. Be honest with yourself. It ain't about what people think. It ain't about how people judge, even though you put him out here to be judged. Once you put on that jersey, you understand what it means, but you have faced it in a different perspective because you ain't your son. And you ain't the only one, bro. Don't feel bad about it. Look at Michael Jordan's sons. They trash on the court. We all found that out, and he Jordan. How do you think you rate against Jordan? The game has changed, bro. You wouldn't have been as great as you are had you played in Jordan's era. Let's just be real about what the situation is. But neither would your son have been great had he played in Jordan's era. So let's understand what the situation is. Can we at least be realistic and understand that Stephen A is telling the truth? Bronny James ain't great, but we all knew that. Bronny James didn't deserve to be in the league, but we all knew that. So for a father to come out and say, hey, I'm going to switch roles from an athlete to a father, no, sir. This is not the place for that. Because you have put your son in a position to be a professional athlete. He got to hold his own. Ain't no time for daddy to be hovering over this boy, for daddy to be protecting this boy. This gives me Austin Rivers vibes. Where you got Austin Rivers, who was the starting guard for his team because his daddy was the coach. Yeah, there's a lot of nepotism in the league. Y'all go and Google it when you ain't got nothing better to do and look at how many of these boys in the league had daddies who played in the league. We understand what's going on here. But what we don't understand is why LeBron took it so personal to Stephen A. Stephen A said, we ain't never had a good relationship, really. It don't mean nothing to me. It don't mean nothing to him, but he could have called me personally and we could have handled it outside of this. The way he confronted me on the court was undesirable, unreasonable, and unprofessional. But LeBron wanted to make a spectacle as he stood there and he cursed at Stephen A and said, lay up off my son. Don't put my son in this. Stay up off my son. Well, if it's really a man's sport, if it's really a man's situation, if your son is really prepared to be in the league amongst the men, not just regular men, but giants, y'all. These men are different in this league. 7-footers. It's a whole different ball game. If your son is prepared for that, then let him be a man at some point. Bro, you got to kick him out the nest and let him fly on his own. Otherwise, you're making a fool out of your son, your family, yourself, because ain't none of this justified. And I know in your heart, you feel like you are protecting your son. But if your son is going to be a man and you're going to thrust him into manly situations, you're going to have to let him be a man on his own and deal with what comes with that. Take the training wheels off, bro. You have brought your son for your own personal reasons into a man's league, a man's game. But let him grow up and be a man and take it on the chin. Because it's going to be what it be. It's going to be, you said he was ready to play. You said he was ready to start in this league. You put all that stuff out there. Listen, as a father myself, I understand. You put all that burden on this boy's shoulders. He didn't ask for it. You did that. You put more of a burden on him than you had coming into the league, and he ain't got your height, he ain't got your strength, he ain't got your skill, and you dumped all of that on his shoulders for your own personal interests. It's unfortunate, LeBron, that you would do this and then get out here and embarrass him even more because all you're proving is that he can't handle it on his own. Well, that makes Stephen A. right. Bro, I need you to get your intellect up. Get your intelligence up so you will understand how to act and how not to act. By your actions here, you are proving Stephen A. right. Stephen A. is simply saying your son ain't good enough. He ain't ready. He's simply saying the same thing they said about Michael Jordan's sons. Your son is not you. And if that hurts your heart, and if that hurts your feelings, then I feel bad for you because all of us have to come to the understanding of that at some point. And let your kid be your kid. Let them find what is best for them, their avenue in life. Let them walk down their own street. And with your money and resources, you can help them find it more and better than most. Help him find his lane. Help him stay in it. But it seems like the NBA ain't it.
That was LeBron James coming up to me, unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son. Can't repeat the words because they ain't suited for FCC airwaves. That's what he was doing. That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard. By all accounts, he's obviously a wonderful family man and a wonderful father who cares very, very deeply about his son. And based on some of the comments that he had heard, or shall I say, I think he thought he heard, he clearly took exception to some of the things that he heard me say, and he confronted me about it. For the record, his agent and friend, Rich Paul, has my number. Maverick Carter, who works under him, has my number. LeBron James knows how to get in contact with me if he wanted to. He never called, because had he called and wanted to talk to me, I would have accepted that call. Had he wanted to see me, I would have flown out and I would have seen him and I would have had a conversation man to man. But that is not what he elected to do. Instead, he elected to confront me while I was sitting courtside. He approached me during the game and he said, "Stop effing with my son. That's my effing son. Stop effing with my son." I said, "What? Nah, man, straight up, man to man. Real talk. Stop effing with my son." And I saw how furious he was. And I said, "We can talk about it later." "Nah, F that. Stop effing with my son. That's my son. That's my son." I said, "All right, dog. Fine." And he walked away. That's all he said. I knew what he was talking about. I've spoken about this before. Matter of fact, I heard that not many, not all, but a few players were upset at me about that. I think one player in particular was Draymond Green, who I haven't spoken to since and has no desire to speak to me primarily because of this, I suppose. And I found out the way that I found out.
Look, LeBron is a huge baby. The only reason that his son is in this position right now is because his dad demanded that he be put in the league. He's not ready to be in the league. And that's just a fact. I mean, anybody can watch the game and know that. That's number one. Number two, Stephen A. Smith is well within his rights to criticize this. Number three, and I just want to make a political point. If Stephen A. Smith expects to be the president of the United States, which it sounds like he does expect to be that someday, he's going to have to tighten up and toughen up a little bit. When I heard him talk about this morning, I heard someone who'd been backed down a little bit, who had been sort of cowed a little bit by LeBron James. Brother, if you run for president or become the president, you're going to have a lot tougher conversation with a lot more important people. So toughen up and stand by your criticism. But I think in this case, LeBron James, huge baby.
And there you have it, y'all. What do you think about LeBron James confronting Stephen A. courtside at a Lakers game? I think it was unnecessary. I think it was unfortunate that two black men have to go toe-to-toe like this. I'm glad Stephen A. stood his ground. Y'all didn't see him recoil. You didn't see him back down. He stood 10 toes down in front of LeBron James, who could see clear over the top of his head. Stephen A. was like, "Bro, what it is? You got me out here in this moment. Now we both looking like hood blackity blacks out here because you need to act a fool over your son who ain't prepared to play this game on this level. Now you trying to embarrass me because your thought process is subpar." All right, well, here we are. Now we got to deal with it. Stephen A. went on his podcast. He dealt with it. LeBron James took to social media. He dealt with it. Hopefully it's over. The sooner the athletic world can forget about Bronny James, the better off we'll all be. Because it's a perfect example of nepotism and someone who got put into a position that they didn't deserve to be in. Hope we can learn from it. Let's take it as a teaching moment. Thank you, LeBron, for teaching us what not to do. Thank you, Stephen A., for teaching us how to tell the truth, even under pressure from major, multi-million-dollar corporations that are pressuring you to say otherwise. Stand your ground, stand 10 toes down, and speak truth to power, even if your knees shake. Y'all let me know what you think about this. I'd love to know your thoughts. And don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the video so we can get more people involved in the conversation, y'all. And like I always say, always remember and never forget, without the gospel, it's just chops. Until next time, peace.